should I have?
Welcome to Media Path. I'm Fritz Coleman.
And I'm Louise Palanker.
As we stroll along the Media Path, Weezy and I pick and choose items to put in our reusable, environmentally friendly shopping bags. Items that we think you'll find interesting and compelling from all areas of entertainment. We do that, and we do this. This week we talked to an enormously talented guest from the world of music, Cheryl Bentyne, who spent most of her career with the iconic vocal group Manhattan Transfer. She's had a great solo career. We'll talk about her solo albums, and we'll talk about her latest project, which is helping many people have a quality of life, her podcast dealing with those in various stages of recovering from cancer. Can't wait to talk to Cheryl. She'll be right with us in a second. Weezy, what do you have for us?
Well, Fritzy, this week I would like to recommend an episode of Radiolab and More Perfect. This one specific episode is called Mr. Graham and the Reasonable Man. I listened to this over a year ago, and it resonates with me, and I think of it often, and I think it's something that everybody should partake of. In conversations about police abuse and misconduct, we've been often hearing the term qualified immunity. And in this episode, you get a quick education into the origins and the meaning of this concept. On a fall afternoon in 1984, DeThorne Graham, a diabetic, ran into a convenience store for a bottle of orange juice to help him balance his sugar with his insulin. When the line was too long, he ran back out of the store, jumped into his buddy's car, and this behavior seemed suspicious to a nearby cop who pulled them over. Unable to get orange juice into his system, DeThorne's behavior became increasingly odd. He was stumbling around the car. The cops handcuffed him and threw him face first into the curb. DeThorne took his case to a lawyer, and it worked its way all the way up to the Supreme Court, who in 1989 ruled that an objective reasonableness standard should apply to a civilian's claim that law enforcement officials used excessive force in the course of making an arrest, investigatory stop, or other seizure of his or her person. It's legal. I can't speak legal that fluently, Fritz. This seems like a win for those seeking reasonable police behavior, but interpretation of the ruling has been twisted over time to mean that if at any moment in the arrest a cop feels threatened, he or she can use force. This is what we know now as qualified immunity. In the wake of the George Floyd ruling, it's an excellent time to learn more about the genesis and the initial intention of the concept. Look for Mr. Graham and the Reasonable Man from Radiolab and More Perfect.
I think you've turned a couple of people on to Radiolab because you've discussed it before, and my only exposure to it is public radio,
Okay.
KPCC in
Right.
Pasadena, but is there another place they can get it?
It's a podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's there at your demand. Whenever you click or tap,
Sounds really
you can access it.
Well, my first item is something I've talked about before, but I can't help it. It's the final season of Bosch on Prime Video. And here's the deal about Bosch. I was way too ADD to binge watch anything until I was turned on to Bosch.
Wow.
And then after I burst through that barrier, I did it with The Crown, and now I'm uncontrollable. But Bosch is a show I love, and they just posted their 7th and final season. It's Prime's longest-running series. And for the 3 2/3 people who don't know who Bosch is, he's a creation of writer Michael Conley. It's based on Conley's character Hieronymus Bosch, called Harry. He's a disgruntled Hollywood detective. And part of the fun of this show is seeing every episode, including great location shooting all around Southern California. You'll recognize most of the streets. It's kind of cool. This season gets really juicy. Harry's partner, J. Edgar, hits some emotional speed bumps, and he's usually the staid, sort of linear guy, and so you don't expect that from him. They come up against street gangs and Mexican drug cartels. They even have an arc with a character very similar to Michael Milken. You remember him as the junk bond king who went afoul of Wall Street regulations and did time in a golf course prison. Really a great send-off for the series. For Bosch fans, Harry isn't retiring. This is a spin-off. It's in production already. It's going to be not on Prime, but on IMDb, which is kind of odd. But I guess they're trying to drive viewership over there since they don't have any original programming.
Okay.
Harry becomes a state-licensed private detective, and there are 1 or 2 characters from the old Bosch that will go there as well. I love the series.
Wow, that sounds extremely exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I will look for all of that. Mm-hmm. Very good recommendation, Fritz. And the spinoff is a hot tip. Mm-hmm. So I'm watching a show on Netflix. It's a limited series called This Is Pop.
I am too.
Yes. Okay.
I didn't know you were watching it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what you think about it.
I'm lapping it up. This is a Netflix series which sets out to uncover the real stories behind your favorite pop genres, songs, and artists. The topics covered in each episode are unique and intriguing. They include T-Pain and auto-tune, the history of music festivals, the disproportionate influence of Swedes on American pop music, and the Boys to Men effect, which studies how, in the tradition of many great black artists, the sound and style of Boys to Men was quickly appropriated by white artists who then met with even bigger success. For example, boy band producer Lou Pearlman actually placed an ad in trade publications which read, "Looking for Boys to Men vocals with New Kids on the Block look." What could be more blatant?
Thinly veiled racism there.
Which brings me to Lou Pearlman, the Lou Pearlman doc on YouTube, which is a thing of glory. Okay, this is produced by Lance Bass. The film explores the crazy career and lunatic legacy of record producer and convicted criminal Lou Pearlman. He's a con man who managed to fill his giant mansion with cute, young, singing, dancing boys. He drove them to stratospheric success while maintaining control of them and of their money. Pearlman winds up, spoiler alert, dying in prison.
But I love. Are you finished with this?
I think that has to be a closing sentence.
That was fantastic. And I love the series, but quite seriously, the number of people who were influenced by Boys to Men, including Justin Timberlake and all these people that had huge careers. Also, you suggested something that I want to talk to Cheryl about, but not right away, which is auto-tune and the electronic effect on, the purity of the vocal.
She is not in need of said plug-in.
No. All right. Well, I got one for you here. It's Willie Nelson's Letters to America.
I love Willie Nelson.
It's an Amazon book. I'm a huge Willie fan.
Yeah, me too.
But full disclosure, what drew me to this book more quickly than it might otherwise have done is that it was written by a friend of mine, Turk Pipkin. He's not a close friend anymore. We did comedy together 25 years ago. He's a comic, a magician, and a juggler. He wrote episodes of Night Court for Harry Anderson, went on to have other many noble pursuits. He's a good friend of Willie's. Letters to America is intimate thoughts and stories about a whole range of topics by Willie. It's exactly what you'd expect from one of America's great songwriters, one of the great writers of songs that are immensely sensitive, and he is the same in these essays. He offers thoughts on Americans, past, present, and future. He talks about his heroes, including some of our founding fathers. And they, at the end of the book, published some lyrics from some of his songs, like Let Me Be a Man, Family Bible, Summer of Roses, Me and Paul, and Yesterday's Wine. The book will make you smile, make you think. If you love Willie, you'll love him even more. It's really wonderful.
That's really cool. I'm reading his autobiography right now, and when I'm done with that, I'll read what you're recommending. Fritz, let's bring our guest into the conversation.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah.
We are so happy to welcome Cheryl Bentyne. Talented in so many ways. She spent most of her career as a vocalist for Manhattan Transfer, this iconic vocal group. They together won 10 Grammy Awards. She's done some wonderful solo projects, including Something Cool in 1992, where she performed traditional music and jazz standards. She did Dreaming of Mr. Porter. Love that. It's a tribute to Cole Porter, and she released that in 2000. She narrated an audio book called Little Girl Blue, which is the Karen Carpenter story, and she worked with Michael Feinstein with Songbook Academy. And most recently, she's been hosting a podcast called I Sing the Body, Conversations with Cheryl Bentyne, which concentrates on people who are in various stages of recovery from cancer, which she is herself. Cheryl, we're so happy to have you here today. Hello from the warm desert.
Oh, hi. Hi, Louise. Hi,
Greetings.
Fritz. Nice to be here.
So we're going to open by introducing people to a little bit of your sound. I want to play just a little bit of the song Trickle Trickle, which, I'm a big fan of the doo-wop stuff, but I just wanted to kind of open with this. Have you got that, Franny?
Trickle, trickle, splash, splash, tell me how long will this rain last? The rain keeps dropping, there ain't no stopping. Tell me how long will this rain last? Trickle, trickle, slop, slop, just got to see my feet don't drop. She's there waiting and I'm hesitating. Tell me just when the rain will stop. Ronnie, dig my clothes here, boy.
So, Cheryl, we have really good news for you. We're in the presence of an actual weatherman who can at long last answer the age-old question, tell me just when this rain will stop.
And since I retired, I've had to relinquish my license. So I tell her what I tell everybody else: look on your phone, and you'll learn everything. Anyway. Oh man, that sounds so good.
To you, Fritz.
That sounds so good.
Isn't that just the best?
Oh my God! And the transfer does a cappella, vocalese. What is vocalese?
Yes. Well, Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross, if you recall, a trio in the mid '60s, they kind of were the starting point, featuring, of course, Jon Hendricks lyrics, of vocalese. Well, what he would do is take a jazz instrumental piece, whether it's Miles Davis or Clifford Brown or even Dave Brubeck, and put lyrics to it. So it turned it into a song that you could sing, which is pretty, it's challenging and it's so exciting. Like we'll do an ensemble part of like Corner Pocket, which is a Count Basie piece, and just sing those horn parts with a story. And then when the solo comes around, that's when it gets real interesting. Then one of us, whoever is appropriate for that solo and that instrument, will continue the story. And some of the solos are pretty intense. So it's a wonderful style of music.
And you give the song a second life. We had a guest on here who started Friends of Distinction, who did that with, was it Grazing in the Grass, or what song did he put lyrics to that gave it a second life? It was a Ramsey Lewis instrumental song. Help me.
I can't remember.
Oh, okay. God almighty.
Not the In Crowd. No.
No, close.
But it was one like that, and he gave it, another 5 or 10 years of life beyond its original popularity.
Exactly.
Which is
Maybe it was
cool.
Grazing in the Grass.
Yeah.
I don't have that at the tip of my head. But what I'm wondering is, like, a lot of those jazz riffs were improvised. Do you guys just memorize what was on the record and capture that and stick to that, or when you're on stage, do you sometimes kind of do a little bit, have a little bit of fun with it?
Well, no, the rule is, it's a really good question. The rule is you stick with the solo, and because they're so intricate and difficult, it's always challenging. So it doesn't really get boring ever, and our harmonies are always fresh because you never know how it's going to sound. That's the love of, a 4-part harmony. You just never know. And yeah, it's that record, by the way, Vocalese, turned us around. We got 12 Grammy nominations for that. And it changed us. It changed our careers. And the record company, I can say this on the side because they didn't want to do it. They said, no one's going to listen to that. No. And Tim Hauser, God love him, the founder of our group, he just went in there day after day, fighting until they finally said, okay, go ahead. And it turned out to be probably the most memorable and my favorite record of our careers.
Wow.
Hey, speaking of Tim Hauser, let's just do a broad reflection on the nearly 50-year career of Manhattan Transfer. Talk about how it got started. Tim was the founding member, am I right?
Exactly.
And just generally walk us through. And then there are 2 manifestations of the transfer too. You're smiling. Is that a bad idea? Is it going to take too long?
No. It's funny because I wasn't there, but I've heard the story so many times. They started in 1972. Tim was driving a cab in New York City and was a musician on the side, and picked up a fare who was Laurel Massey, who was who I replaced in 1979. And she, a singer, and they started talking about music, and he was talking about how he wanted to start a vocal group. And they stopped and had coffee, and then ended up going to a party where Janice was, because Laurel's boyfriend was in the pit band of Grease. So he also knew someone who could sing tenor and wanted to leave the Broadway show of Grease. Let me backtrack a minute. So Janice Siegel was at this party. Okay. She was singing with a trio. And they were there, and they were all going, ho! So they started talking. I don't know if this was all in one night, but I like to all compartmentalize.
In the cinema version, it's one night.
Yes. Not the extended Netflix version. So then they needed a tenor. They were going to do 4-part harmony. Tim's dream was to be like the sax section of the Count Basie band, where it's,
oh my God, that's so cool.
The 4 parts which were 2 women and 2 men, which really hadn't been covered a lot in the past. There were a lot of men groups and, of course, the girl groups. So they got a hold of Alan Paul, who wanted to do something new, was in love with vocal harmonies and that whole era of music. So there you go. They started writing out vocal arrangements. Janice just did it by scratch. She didn't know, just by their ears. And they sat around and learned 4 or 5 tunes. And they went to like Trudy Heller's and what other, the clubs in New York. And that's all they knew. So they would do the 5 or so tunes and then take a break and then do them over and then take a break. And in the meantime, they were gaining a huge underground audience because they came out. They weren't dressed in tails and and gowns yet. They were dressed crazy. Like I think Janice was wearing a diaper. They were very, very, very abstract at that point. And the guys would wear makeup. And then they'd sing these 40s tunes with this beautiful harmony. So
it was like a little bit performance art, a little bit, a lot vocal harmony. And you were given one of their albums when you were in a group that you were in, correct?
How do you know everything?
Well, it's on Wikipedia, Cheryl.
I don't like to look at that stuff because I don't know what it's going to say about it.
It's all good. It's all good.
Oh, I can't. No, I was in a swing band out of Seattle called the New Deal Rhythm Band. And we kind of were along the same lines. We were kind of a funky, crazy group of musicians. I was the front girl, and we sang in the clubs, up in Seattle, the Tavern, and all down the coast in San Francisco. And my boyfriend was the trombone player, and one day he handed me the first album of the Manhattan Transfer, and he said, "You got to listen to this. It'll blow your mind."
That is some foreshadowing.
I know. Oh, there's too many coincidences. We don't have time.
Okay. I love that.
When I heard this, I just went, "Oh my God, this is me. I love this. I'm crazy about this. These people are insane." I've never heard about this because they were relating to a younger audience.
Yeah.
Because they were young. So you're pulled in by the fabulous songs. And then these crazy, different-looking people, these 4 very different personalities, and then the fantastic music. So that was my introduction to them.
And I, as a baby boomer, and one of my passions is doo-wop. I'm from Philadelphia, and that was Mother's Milk in Philly. But you had an attraction that was very similar to the early doo-wop, which was particularly the a cappella stuff. Every voice sounded like a different instrument. And that was the start of doo-wop. So you can hear it on Trickle Trickle. It's just like the bass is a bass drum and the...
Yeah, and if you go back to the Mills Brothers, they used to do that.
Yeah.
Four boys and a guitar.
Yeah.
They really did it. They became instruments. We have one song where we really do sound like instruments. I have a solo in a song, a Miles Davis piece, Herbie Hancock actually, called Cantaloupe Island, and I have the solo in there, and you have to become that sound. We do that a lot, within songs and sound like instruments. But they were the kings, the Mills Brothers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Amazing. When you listen to them, you cannot believe that comes out of their voice.
Yeah, and you can't believe that that's the sound they decided to create. Maybe what inspired people in the 20s was, well, we don't have any musical instruments, but I like some of what I'm hearing on the radio. How can we make that sound? And you just, out of inspiration, I mean, we don't know the music that people were making 1,000 years ago, but you have to imagine that they were being super creative. It just isn't recorded, so we don't have a record of it.
Exactly.
So tell us about the Dixieland band that you traveled with. Your dad was in a Dixieland band.
Yeah, we didn't travel. I went as far as my house to the Elks Club.
Oh, I see.
But that was interesting. Well, in high school, let's back up a hair. I was in the musicals. I wanted to be an actress who sang, not a singer who acted. I thought I'd be an actress. Barbra Streisand, when I saw Funny Girl, I just went, I want to do that. Not knowing what a large undertaking that would be to become Barbra Streisand. So I kind of put that aside. And my mother saw me in a musical at high school. She didn't know I could sing. I was like a closet singer where I wouldn't let anybody listen to me. I go out in the back room and sing to records, mostly Streisand. And she said, "You can sing. Why don't you go and sing with your dad's band?"
Aw.
So I was like 14, and so I did. I'd go out on Friday and Saturday nights and sing with the, he had a dance band. He was a clarinet player. It was his band, clarinet, sax, flute. And that's how those were my early learning days New Deal Rhythm Band was, of course, after that. But this is how I got a start in singing in front of people and enjoying it. I didn't think there was anything, I thought everyone could do this. So that's how naive and weird I was.
Well,
so
you knew that you were singing probably standards.
Yeah,
and your friends were listening to pop music, so you must have known that not everybody's dad is a band leader. I mean, on some level, you must have known that my musical tastes run deep, and they're not limited to what's being played on top 40 radio.
Exactly. I didn't really listen to it that much. I like the Beatles, and that's kind of the beginning and the end of it. I didn't really, Sergio Mendes, Brazil 66. I went that direction from that age on. So yeah, you're right.
And the Transfer did Brazilian music too and popularized that in their canon.
Yeah, we were sitting in a living room once at Tim's house, and this is how those projects used to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They just would happen. We were sitting there talking, and all of a sudden we realized all four of us were separately listening to Brazilian music. And we went, whoa, well, I think we should probably do a record then. So that was a real fun project. We went to Brazil. We sat around the piano, Tom Jobim's piano, and sang and met all the musicians and composers that we later did their music with English lyrics. So that was wonderful too. That was a great.
So using that as an example, was it always a community contribution setup, or was there one person who was doing the arranging and the picking?
Well, it was always all four of us deciding, and sometimes that would become a little bit difficult. One would really have to campaign if he really believed in a song. And eventually we all trusted each other and sang and chose the music together. Janice has done a majority of the vocal arrangements. Alan's done quite a few. I've done a couple. I did one with Bobby McFerrin on vocalese that won us a Grammy.
Oh my gosh.
So I kind of thought I'd stop there. I got lucky.
Nah.
I think I'll stop while I'm ahead. And then we do farm out arrangements occasionally if it's a real special piece of music. So
you started with the Transfer in '79. You replaced Laura Massey, correct? How did that happen? Was it an audition? Did people understand your reputation beforehand, or how did you get the job?
Well, I was lucky. I had a manager from when I came down from Seattle and left the New Deal Rhythm Band, and her name was Linda Friedman, and she, was grooming me. I took dance lessons, singing lessons, blah, blah, blah. We went out and heard music, and I did what they called Hoot Night at the Troubadour. I was doing all these little clubs, and she knew the group's manager, Brian Avnet, and also their agent. I think it was William Morris at the time. And they were looking for, a fourth member, a soprano. But they were looking quietly around. They were asking each other and their friends, colleagues. And they asked Linda, and she said, yeah, I know somebody who could probably, be good for this. So I auditioned. They didn't know me from anybody. And I went to Janice's house. She lived next to the Hollywood Bowl on, I forget the name of the street, right up next to it. Walked in their house, and they asked me to do 2 songs, have 2 songs ready, because I was the soprano was the melody, and I knew their music. I knew all their songs.
Yeah.
So I went in and sang, and they said after about 8 bars, singing along in harmony, they looked at each other, and I was like the 7th or 8th person, I think, to audition. And they looked at each other and they kind of nodded. It's like, that was the sound.
Wow.
It's tricky. You got to get a sound that where the voices just ring together. It's
a chord. You're making chords. So tell me about the first Pinch Me moment where you're on stage with the Manhattan Transfer.
We went straight to Europe, I learned all the back material, and then I learned all the music for the Extensions album. We went in the studio. We did Birdland, the first song. I'm like, it was like a punch in the face, like over and over and over, but a good punch.
Yeah.
So then we went to Europe. We did a show in Amsterdam that was televised, I think, in like 10 countries or something crazy. And that was my first show. And it was insane. It was insane. So I remember that.
So what's the personality mix like? Because that, those are also harmonies. You're out on the road with people and everybody's kind of vibrating. And what was it like to be the new kid, or was there a moment of honeymoon and then a moment of like, you put this here and it doesn't go there? And, how does that work on the road when everybody's can be cranky? And, what are the things that people get irritated about?
Oh boy. It could be something big. It could be something really small.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting question, because not only are we these four singers, we're dear friends. My daughter is best friends to this day with Tim's daughter.
Aww.
They're the same age.
Wow.
Also with Janice's son. They all were about the same age coming up in the group. So we're family in that sense. But we're also, we're business partners. We're music partners. We're friends. We're family. And all that combined can get very complicated sometimes. Mm-hmm. That's a good word. So when we do push each other's buttons, at this point, we know what those buttons are. Mm-hmm. So we kind of stay clear of that and just let the music lead the way.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're there for.
Yeah, because it's like, it's hard enough to have one marriage, but to be in a group and now coming up on your 50th anniversary, that means, and you since 1979, that means you have to navigate every person in the group has a unique relationship with every other person. So there's all these crisscrossing relationships that are one-on-one, 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 and you have to, you just have to know how to navigate, how to choose your words in a way that sounds kind, and even when what you're about to deliver is maybe something where you feel extremely annoyed, but you still have to say, to find a kind way to that would be a productive way to deliver this message and be heard.
Are you sure you haven't been in the studio with us or rehearsals? I can't.
She's been in enough studios on her own with stuff.
I know you were there. I know you were at our rehearsals. Yeah, exactly.
But I think we're not all in Manhattan Transfer. We're not all in the studio with you guys, but we all have similar types of friendships or business endeavors where that kind of thing is essential. And you can hit a point where it almost might fall off a cliff, but everyone has to love it enough to not let that happen.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
she made a documentary about that, about the Cowsill family called Family Band. Right now it's on Netflix or Prime.
No, it's on Prime.
And it was the same thing with them. Each had to juggle a separate personality, and you got to observe it from a distance.
But they were siblings, so they really had to find a way to find a way. But you guys do it by choice, and that's beautiful. That's something beautiful to treasure.
Yeah.
Did you take your children on the road with you? It sounds like they spent a little time with you guys.
Yes. How do we do that, you ask? Well, both Janice and I had our children about a year apart. So I was watching her and how she did it. We had to have nannies with us because we're going on stage.
Yeah.
We nurse our babies before the show.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Go on stage and then get up twice a night with the babies and then get on a plane or whatever the next morning and do a show. To this moment, I don't know. I don't know how I did it. I don't,
Wow.
You go on mommy adrenaline, so yeah, she had to be with me. And then finally, when she started preschool, it was time to be home and learn how to be a real little person and not just a road puppy.
Have you watched the Pink documentary?
Yes.
Did you relate to that?
I don't know how.
Yeah.
How.
She's really a devoted mom. I came away with a lot of respect for her and her husband, who
Amazing.
completely subsumed his own career for her and played a great dad while she's on the road. It was really interesting.
That's right. Incredible show. I mean, that is magical what she does.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got a lot of strength. I don't think I'm that strong. I mean, it was, we travel just as much. We don't play to billions of people in a concert. We don't hang from trapezes.
You're rarely upside down.
Oh!
It's extremely.
Singing upside down. Yeah, she's amazing.
She's amazing.
Well, what country, other than the United States, did you find the greatest response where Manhattan Transfer resonated the
Oh, boy. Well, I don't want to be like, it's different everywhere. Japan is huge for us. We got most of our gold records from there. We've done television commercials there. They love us, love us, love us.
They love vocals. That's a big vocal.
Well, they love jazz.
Fan country.
They like American jazz.
Okay.
Yeah, I taught a lot of Japanese students. I did a whole workshop there. I did one online. And they just want to sing our standards. And it's challenging, as you can imagine, to coach them with that because they didn't grow up with that, but they want it so bad. Mm-hmm. So that's lovely. And Europe is wonderful. Australia is wonderful. I can't really, pinpoint one place. We're really lucky. We've had fans that have held out for as long as we've been around, and they're my age now, and then their kids,
Oh, yeah. What style of music, because you guys are known for your eclectic arsenal of beautiful repertoire of songs that you can perform. What style is the most difficult, maybe not just to sing, but to blend?
To blend. For me, I think you'd get a different answer from maybe others, but for me, the pop music is challenging for me because I'm not a pop singer. Janice is a pop singer. Alan can, obviously, but Trist and I are more from a different school of music. So I find that challenging because the beats are on all four. Jazz and R&B is on 2 and 4. Mm-hmm. So right off the bat, it's a different feel. You have to emphasize every word in pop music. And it's very often 3-part harmony with a vocalist, in the lead. So it's not, it's harder, I think, to get a blend and sound like us sometimes with that style of music.
And you're always chasing that. You're always wanting your unique sound, your brand.
Yeah. I think that just kind of happens, especially early on. We didn't, producers thought we were nuts. We sang around one mic together up until, I want to say, maybe after Brazil. I mean, we'd sing around one mic, and that was our organic sound. Voices would kind of fade in and out. If somebody hits a wrong note, we have to do the entire song again. So we did it the hard way. And we don't do it that way anymore. We're older. Our voices have changed. We have a new bass in the band. So the bass now can sing on his own and create the foundation.
Can you talk about how that felt to lose Tim?
Oh, it was devastating. He had been ill for a long time, and insisted on going out on the road. He was the heart and soul of the group, and still is. We still talk to him once in a while, and he's up there just giving us hell.
Yeah.
He's doing that all the time. I can hear him. But he was the soul. He was the glue that held this together. He would always be there for every single one of us, was very concerned about, like, each of us being represented on a record, or he would pick a lot of the material. He knew what he wanted, and he'd fight for it. And he was crazy too. I mean, he would really, he had this genius for music, and he knew every record, A side, B side, especially doo-wop. That was his thing, but also jazz. And he just, he championed me when I came in. He was determined to find my place in the group. He goes, June Christie, you're a cool singer. Sing something cool. Sing that style. And then he'd find me another song and then another song. And he did that with all of us. So he's sorely missed. The first show in Japan, I mean, these young ladies who love us, they were sitting there weeping. A lot of people were,
Yeah.
crying.
And you guys too, I bet.
As we came out, yeah. So, and they still love us, though.
Of course.
Well, he started the Manhattan Transfer, and I think for modern audiences, say baby boomers forward, your group is what attracted attention and grew new fans to vocal harmonies. And you end up with the pentatonics, which my daughter loves. And I think that's sort of opened the gate for all of what succeeded you guys, and you were the first.
Yes, thank you. I'll take that. Because I agree. Pentatonics they're superstars. We know them. We went to a show. I couldn't believe the enormity of their show and their voices. They're all pretty much, classically trained. They're very, very good at what they do. I'd agree with that. I think it's great. I mean, even those Pitch Perfect, those movies that came out, Glee, all of these shows, all of this stuff that we've been doing since, forever.
Yeah, so even bands like what you were talking about, Boys to Men, 4-part harmony, probably could be traced back to the appeal of Manhattan Transfer.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And what do some young people say to you, or people that are even now doing well in music, when they come up to you and they're meeting you? What are some of the things that they say to you and that they're eager to let you know?
Well, they couldn't be sweeter. I mean, there's so many like college vocal groups that we come upon, that will come backstage and sing for us, and they're just like, oh, and they'll sing our songs. And so it's so rewarding. It's so touching that happens. But they just go, you introduced me to jazz, or we got married and that's the song we play. There's so many wonderful things that have happened on that level where we'll get a letter and they'll go, I lost my father and this is the song that he loved. And so we somehow have touched a really deep level with people that is just, it's so gratifying and it's so moving. But young singers, again, they'll say, Vocalese turned me on to Miles Davis or to the jazz in general. And it's wonderful. And Pentatonics, they're their own thing, but we did one recording with them, actually, one of their Christmas records we were on. Jacob Collier, I don't know if you know who, he did the vocal arrangement. He's a young wunderkind.
Wow, that's powerful with you guys and them together.
I know, it was great. It was great. It's on, we did White Christmas, I think, and it's on, and it's on one of their many Christmas records.
Back when you were 13 years old and just starting to sing with your father's Dixieland band, who were your musical heroes? Who did you look up to and want to emulate?
Well, my dad, the clarinet player. I know it sounds weird, but that's how I learned to swing music. That's how I learned tone. That's how I learned phrasing. It's just being around him. And then there was anything from Judy Garland to Ella, to Tony Bennett, to Frank Sinatra. I think I listened to everybody after that. But early on, I really didn't have that vocabulary. I'm a very small town. Didn't go to Broadway shows, didn't go to shows. Although my parents' first show they took me to in Seattle was Peggy Lee and the Mills Brothers.
What?
Wow.
So, I know. I got a good start, right?
Oh, my gosh.
Well, Weezy's family is personal friends with the Mills Brothers, and so she goes way back on a family level with the Mills Brothers.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
My mom actually interviewed them when she was in high school and stayed friends with them. So throughout my childhood, do you remember during the kind of nightclub days when you would do a 2-week engagement in a town?
Yes.
So we were in Buffalo, New York. It's summertime, and the Mills Brothers are coming over for dinner every night because we were their Buffalo family. I think they had a family in every port, just so they could feel normal and not have to eat hotel food. And so that was just kind of magical.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I think that was a stepping stone for me. The universe telling me, okay, Cheryl, you're going to sing harmony and you're going to sound like Peggy Lee.
Well, I was always that kid that wanted to sing the harmony on the record. And then I wanted to make up my own harmony and find one that wasn't in the arrangement. And was that you?
No, No, I was never a harmony singer. I was, solo. I always sang the melody. But that's nice. That's interesting. You'd make up your own part.
But I think that came from me being, influenced so young by the Mills Brothers,
Yeah.
having them in our home and just sitting with your ear against the speaker because you want to hear every part in the arrangement, not just the vocals, but in the instruments. You wanted to know, is that an alto sax or a tenor?
Yes.
You just want to just peel it back and be able to see, So if you went to a concert, you'd want to get as close as possible so you could see what everyone was playing and how it all came together.
Exactly. Oh, that's great.
What about contemporary artists? Who do you like these days?
Uh-oh. I was afraid you were going to ask.
No, that's okay. I would be the same way. The one with purple hair.
I was watching the BET Awards the other night. Scared me to death. So I turned
That's right.
Well, that's a whole different music. It's a different paradigm. Music is not what it was when I grew up at all. I do have, now I sound like an old biddy, but I do have favorite singers. Pink is one of them. Katie Lang. I mean, this is still not real current. Gosh, who else? Kelly Clarkson, I think, is amazing.
Yes,
I like Vince Gill.
Oh, I love his voice.
Right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, God. It caught me way off guard.
No,
those
that's
are good answers. You're doing great.
Well, it's kind of across the board. I've got Maria Callas on my turntable right now. So it's all over
I love the part where you have a turntable.
Oh, yeah. I've got the works here. Yeah.
I want to get a jukebox and put all the singles from my childhood that I still have in the jukebox.
That's a great idea.
Tim used to have jukeboxes. He had about 3 or 4.
Did he?
One played 78s. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's super cool. Well, talk about what it was like to now be on the side of the auditioning side of things, where you're seeing people that are going to now sing Tim's part in your group. What was that like? Did everybody agree on what you were seeing and hearing? Does the person's personality factor in when you have the conversations afterwards about who would be a good fit?
Well, it happened again, like kind of magically. We didn't audition. We didn't have time. Tim got sick on the road, and we needed somebody the next night.
Oh, my goodness.
And I called Claude McKnight from Take 6. I said, we need a bass. And he goes, well, here's two guys. One is Tris Curlis. And I went, oh, I know who he is. He's a sound man, too. He did sound for Pentatonics.
Okay.
He did sound for me a couple times at Vitello's. So I called him. The group said, please call him. We need somebody. I called him and I explained what was going on. And he said, yeah, of course I'll do it. So little did I know, he had a vocal group called Impact.
Okay.
And Trist knew a lot of our music, and has great ears. And he literally met us on the road and we threw him on stage and he did an amazing job.
Wow.
I mean, and he's a real bass. Tim was not a bass. He was a tenor. That was forced to sing bass lines, and he had a different personality because of that. So Trist is, amazing. He's amazing. He does beatbox. He does things that was never in our repertoire. So he's bringing us, a few levels up, and the blend is different, but it was different when I came in too, when I replaced Laurel. So you just kind of go with it, and the personalities get along really well. And that's really almost 50 or more % of the success of us,
Absolutely. So what is on the horizon for the transfer? You're coming up on your 50-year anniversary, and now we're coming out of a pandemic. So what have you guys got planned for us?
Well, we haven't sung for 1.5 years together. It's kind of nuts, really. First thing we're doing is going in the studio end of July, early August. We're doing a symphony project, German WDR Symphony Orchestra from Germany.
Wow.
And they hired us to do this, basically. They came to us. So all the symphony tracks are done. We had new charts done for the vocals and obviously for the symphony. And we're going in to sing, in the studio. We'll see what happens with songs that we've already done, like I said, that didn't have symphony charts attached to them. So
Okay.
that'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
And then we're working on a documentary.
Oh,
Hopefully it will come out maybe 22, early 23. And we start touring. Oh, and a box set, Concord box set with five CDs, 5 discs from unknown stuff that was never put on a record to live things. And so that's wonderful. A lot of stuff is coming together next year.
That's fantastic.
I know. We're pretty excited. Yeah.
I want to talk about your diagnosis, Cheryl, because it's slightly adjusted the last part of your life, but you're giving so many people hope in what you're doing with your podcast. First, let's talk about your diagnosis.
Oh, gosh. Well, we were on the road in 2011, and I started getting ill. I just didn't feel good. We were in Europe. And, of course, we're in Europe, right? And went to a doctor, and they gave me like a breathing machine. It didn't help. I was just getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and I couldn't eat. I stopped eating, and something's really wrong here. So when we got home from Europe, I'm really condensing this because you don't need details. Alan Paul, my partner, said, "I'm sending you to my doctor tomorrow. Something's wrong here."
Mm-hmm.
I'd lost over 25 pounds on the road. And I was like this, hanging onto the mic stand, thinking, the last thing you think is, of course, I went to the doctor that next day and got blood tests and went home. He called me when I got home that night, and he goes, "Is your daughter with you?" And I said, "Yes." "Can she drive you over to Tarzana to the emergency room?" I said, "Yeah, what's going on?" He goes, "Well, I saw something I didn't like in your blood test." So went there. Of course, they don't tell you until,
Mm-hmm.
And I went in that night, and the next day they took my spleen out.
Oh, goodness.
And it was riddled with cancer, I guess. And then I had to wait a full month for that to heal better, and then started chemo.
Mm-hmm.
I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma the first time around. And I was off the road for 8 months, which that was the hardest part for me. I know it sounds silly, but I was like, I can't do this. I got to be on the road. We have a Christmas tour coming.
That's not silly at all.
So I stayed home, did 12 treatments of chemo, and lost all my hair, started wearing wigs, went back out for a year with the group. And almost to the same month, a year later, I got sick again.
Oh, boy.
This time it was rougher because you could see swelling on my lymph glands all around me. I went, no. So I went back to the doctor, and this time it was Hodgkin's, which is much more severe, and, it's brutal. And they went to my doctor, and he sent me to a stem cell transplant specialist at City of Hope, which I got to give them so much credit. They're an amazing place. And I got a stem cell transplant.
Wow.
The doctor said, "You don't want to go through this anymore, do you?" And I said, "No."
So we're going to change
How many? Let me just put this in a timeline. How long ago was this we're talking about?
Started 2011, and I was clean bill of health 2014.
Yes.
So when
I've
you
been
get
good ever since.
the stem cell, we're going to change how your cells are reproducing. Is that the idea?
Yeah, they took mine and they put it through the ringer, so to speak, and
Okay.
put it back in me. Clean, shiny, clean cells.
Okay,
And
awesome.
I did have a scare during the pandemic, though. I had to get a biopsy, but I'm fine now.
You're fine. Okay. Good.
You
look
have
good.
such great energy and a great smile. It looks like you're feeling well. And all of this led to your current project, which is quite impressive. And even people who are not touched by cancer directly, when you listen to your podcast, it's very hopeful. It's called I Sing the Body, Conversations with Cheryl Bentyne. Tell us about that.
Well, that actually happened early on in the pandemic. We got off the road, and I immediately started writing songs. I don't know what that was about, and they're still sitting somewhere in a corner. And then I thought, it's something I've always wanted to do, because I went to like a healing workshop called We Spark in Los Angeles when I was healing emotionally. And I realized I had hit a wall emotionally at a certain point. This is like a year plus after I was fine. And it's post-traumatic stress disorder, basically, for post-cancer, survivors. And they don't tell you about this. I had to try all these different, I tried all different, what's the word? See, I don't have words right now.
Therapy, techniques.
Antidepressants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was crazy. I'd pull over the side of the road and just sit there and cry and scream and da-da-da. I'm going, something's wrong here. So when I finally got settled into what works for me and what will keep me going and not kill people, I thought, I wonder if there's other women I can talk to. This is a mystery. This is the unspoken part of cancer, surviving after it's all over, and when you're well, trying to be a person again. But guess what? You're different. And you do see things differently, and resentments can fall into place, self anger, self-doubt. If there's not self-care taking place, this is my experience, as you're healing and when you're done with cancer, if you don't stop and go, Cheryl, your body just went through hell. You got to thank it. You got to be nice to yourself. Instead, I just went out on the road and I just kept working, without grieving, that's a big part of my podcast. I ask all the ladies, did you grieve your illness? Because that's the healing part. If you can grieve and go, God, you went through so much. You kind of clear the air for some reason. But it's not till after I struggled through those steps and didn't clear it that I realized I got to talk to some women. So in talking to these women, 8 different women, 7 of them were singers and very good friends of mine. This is just skimming the surface of, let's see, who can I talk to? Oh, there's her. All different kinds of cancer. 2 of them are still struggling, in the struggle, in the battle. And they gave all different stories of how they got through it. I said, I want to do this for women who may just be beginning chemo and think they can just walk away and continue their lives normally like they used to be, because you can't. You got to emotionally deal with it, and you see things differently. It can be subtle, but I think the longer I'm well and clean from cancer, the more I'm really appreciating that I'm here, for one thing.
Well, you offer some great repeating words of advice in your podcast. One is, we're all different, but we're all on the same road, which is kind of something you can expand out to every human being's relationship to every other human being. But for cancer survivors, it has. And another line you use that I love, you don't want to frighten, you just want to inform.
Yeah, exactly. I had to keep saying that because, for people who have not gone through it, it really is for cancer survivors, but it's hopefully for everybody, like you were saying, that it's how to treat your friends or your loved ones or your mother or your whoever who's gone through it. They don't know what to say or what to do. I'd get rides to chemo. Even my daughter, she was in high school when this began. She didn't know what to do. She froze up. I mean, she was there for me, but what's a kid going to do when her mother's sitting there, on the couch for 6 months? So it is truly, I'm really proud of it. I talked to 8 women. I think that's enough.
Yeah.
I mean, how much more can so I'm looking in another direction with possibly healing music that these women can sing or put online, because I'm realizing going through this that the music portion of their lives really played a role. You don't have to be a musician, but a healing, something healing. I was playing opera in the hospital room when I was getting my my new cells, because I thought, okay, there's got to be some sort of celebratory sound, and nobody else in the hospital was playing music. So anyway, I'd like to go to that level next, if I do.
Well, we ought to say that it's interesting and hopeful for people who aren't even cancer folks. And because it's not what you think it's going to be, like a serious conversation between you and your doctor. You have many laughs. I loved hearing the stories between you and your friends, and there's laughing and there's joking, and it's not down at all.
Yeah, there has to be humor involved. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's, there were some funny moments, and I'm sure there are people listening going, how can they laugh at that? Well, you do, and that kind of helps you get through, as you both know. I mean, you're lighthearted, beautiful people, so you need that.
Yes, I think we all need to laugh, and even though, and I think people laugh at things that are very inside, and in this case, it may seem like to someone who's not going through this, how could you laugh? But when you're inside of it with someone else who's inside of it, and you're sharing it, that is what invites laughter. And then the laughter is then healing, and it's part of the healing. Did
you find that people were eager to tell you their story because you're a sympathetic ear, or you have to pry it out of them because it seems so personal and dark?
Oh, my God. These women, I had to edit. I was an editor, too. They would go on and on and on and on. They loved sharing it, because I think probably hadn't talked about it maybe to anyone on this level.
Or to someone else who could understand fully, and it's so cathartic to just be heard.
They felt good afterwards. I learned a lot from them. So I was very, very blessed that they were there for me too. I just let them go. But again, there were so many stories. I had to cut them down a bit.
Right.
It was fun.
And you learned how to make a podcast, and this is wonderful.
Yeah. I don't know if I remember now. It's a while back, but I might continue that. It's in some form.
I mean, there may be something else about which you want to do a series of shows.
No, I love your idea of the healing power of music. I think that's a podcast in itself.
Right. I don't know if I
could contribute their music that got them through a tough time.
Exactly.
Well, people are struggling with all kinds of things, different illnesses, even, mental, health issues. And so music is kind of, it does sort of change your cellular balance. I notice when I put it on, it changes how I'm actually feeling in that moment. So something is transforming when we listen to music. There's a reason why humans are attracted to these sounds that we can make. Yeah. And
I have an example of that in a far less dramatic form than recovering from a disease. But as the pandemic started, I promised myself, because of what we have been through, without being specific, the last 4 years in Washington, I was going to tune out the news because I had become addicted to all platforms of news. It was like looking into the abyss, and I was afraid I'd miss something. So I promised myself I was going to stop doing that, and I did, and I started listening, and it was so therapeutic. And until recently, when the dust settled a little bit and I went back to a little news, I found myself listening to Sirius XM, every channel, the blues channel, Motown, 60s on 6, the 70s on 7, all that stuff. And it honestly, it elevated my spirits from where they had been for 4 years. Honestly. It was very therapeutic.
I believe you. Look how lucky I am that I get to make music. But I'm with you 100%. I mean, I just...
How old is your daughter now?
She's 26.
Oh, good. So if you go back out on the road, you don't have to nurse anybody.
Oh, okay.
she rarely...
Now she wants to bring her boyfriend out, and I said, honey, I'm not here to make money, not spend money.
I think it'd be interesting to have a music club, kind of like a book club, where everybody listens to the same album for the week, and then have a podcast.
That's not a bad idea.
Cheryl hosts the podcast.
That's a great idea.
Talks about how the music, if not just what you thought of it, but how it affected how you were feeling.
Oh my God! You want to be my producer?
Oh, that's her talent.
We'll talk about it.
As a matter of fact, I will say this: that when you guys get close to that documentary, you ought to bring the whole group and come back and talk to us again. We'll help you promote it.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Would love to do that.
I would love that so much. I have
That's a great idea.
Okay, Cheryl. We'll talk. So I have one question to you, and this comes to you from every fan or anyone who's ever listened to your music before. Do you actually know anyone with a dueling scar?
Wow.
The boy from New York City apparently has
I know.
one.
I know.
Among other attributes.
A dueling scar. I can only think
What
of my
song is that in?
spleen
The
Boy
scar.
from New
I
York
don't-
Oh, you mean do I diddy, that one? Oh. No
like-
way.
It's the craziest lyric
hilarious.
ever. Like, he's got the car, he's got a wallet
Dueling
full of money,
scar.
and he has a dueling scar, which makes him badass.
I know, totally.
Wow. Good job.
Because
Weezy.
I don't know anyone with one. I just picture him
either.
like, in the year 1805, with swordplay or something on the front lawn. Well,
Oh,
Cheryl,
you're funny.
it's just a delight talking with you. And thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and all of your talent with us. I'm going to read our closing credits. Before I do so, where can people find you online? We're going to add some links and stuff to our show notes so that people can find everything having to do with you and having to do with Manhattan Transfer.
Well, my website is under repair right now. I don't even know if it's there. You hear that a lot. Manhattan Transfer official website is up. Facebook, I'm there. I got a pro page. Let's see. And I Sing the Body is on Apple Podcasts, so you can find that. And my phone number is, I'm kidding.
We'll be right over. All right.
That was
But
a treat.
thank you,
A
guys.
treat.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Cheryl. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
We would love for you to join us online on Instagram and Twitter, where we are at Media Path Pod, and on Facebook, where we are Media Path Podcast. You can find full episodes with all kinds of bonus visual content on our YouTube channel, Media Path Podcast. We would love to know what media you've been enjoying. You can contact us at our social media or email us at mediapathpodcast@gmail.com. We want to thank our guest, Cheryl Bentyne. Our team includes Dina Friedman, Francesco Damanda, John Maddox, Sharon Bellio, Bill Filipiak, Thomas Hubble, and you. Our theme music is by me and John Maddox. I am Louise Palanker here with Fritz Coleman, and we will see you along the media path. But first, Fritz has more to tell you.
And listen, if you enjoyed this episode of Media Path, it would help us greatly to be more discoverable by potential new listeners if you leave us a quick review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're new here and this is your first time with us, please check out our back catalog. You may find us binge-worthy. Recent episodes include Gary Puckett, the Cowsills, Keith Morris, and Henry Winkler, on and on and on. We've done 60 episodes nearly, and they're all interesting for different reasons. Thank you for spending an hour with us, and we would be overjoyed if you took a moment to share your thoughts with us or recommend us to a friend. Be safe. That was a great show. Thank you so much.
You're such a joy to talk
Yeah,
to.
you have such a great attitude.
Great energy.
It's coffee.